Alright, so hey, hope you're all doing well and great, and if you like the video, press that like button, that really helps me out a ton. And I'm gonna make this short. Today we are taking a look at the Ryzen 3 4100 and why this one of the most hated CPUs, or not the most hated, but not the one of the most underwhelming CPUs releases from last year, why this CPU is worth it right now, and this is what we're gonna be talking about in this video. Let's get to it. And the first thing and the main key and selling point to this CPU is that basically this CPU used to go for $100 right now, and as dirty as that may sound, it goes for $69. There is no even $69.99 or anything like that, just flat $69. I mean, that's a really good price for a CPU like that one, which puts it in a really good position. I really wanted to say that, I'm sorry. So basically you may consider this as a Ryzen 3 3300X in terms of performance, in terms of the cores, in terms of everything. It's pretty much a rebranded CPU of that one, which shows you how, slacking and lazy AMD has been last year. But that doesn't change the fact that this CPU used to be a good CPU back then. Now, in addition to that, the whole AMD motherboards are actually really cheap right now. Not right now as of making the video, but the cheapest A520 M board usually goes for $70 to $75. So a CPU board combo would go for around $130 or $150, somewhere in that territory, which makes up for a really good entry-level budget gaming PC. Now, I really love it, and there are a ton of GPUs to pair with this CPU, believe it or not, which will be for a separate video. So yeah, you really cannot go wrong. And when you compare it to the other competitors from Intel, for example, you only are looking at the i3 10100F and the i5 10400F if you decided to go the used / new route. Now, when you compare the i3 10100F to the Ryzen 3 4100s, from some benchmarks it shows you that it's actually better, the i3 10100F, and I really don't know how, because when we compare the Ryzen 5 3600 to the Ryzen 3 4100 with an RTX 3080 GPU actually, which is a heavily bottlenecking GPU to both CPUs, you'll find that the difference in terms of frame rates isn't that far away. We're looking at 6 FPS at 1080p, and we're on these differences in one of the highest possible frame rates you could get, from a CPU like that. So I wouldn't even call it a bottleneck, if that makes any sense. So that shows you how good of a performance you're getting actually for gaming. But a major disadvantage for this CPU that it's not gonna do you any good for CPU editing or anything related to a CPU intensive tasks like video editing, for example. Of course, streaming is out of question, but when it comes to the frame rates intensive games like CSGO, Valorant, you are gonna get 144 to 240 FPS, somewhere in that territory, and you have a lot of GPUs to go with. Let me exaggerate or say that you can go as far as something like an RTX 2060, but not an RX 6600, that would be crazy. And on top of all that, you can upgrade all the way up to a Ryzen 7 5800X 3D in the future. Even though like the Ryzen X 3D models are from AMD, these models are not going cheap either on the used or new market. So I think that will not be a thing in the future. Maybe you can upgrade to a 5700X or a 5800X, which by the way is still better than routing for an i3 10100F or an i5 10400F. So yeah, that's been it. That sums up the idea around the Ryzen 3 4100. If you like the video, press on that like button. If you want to see more, visit that, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.